Welcome back to SummonTesla. Today I'm going to be going out and I'm going to be reviewing a brand new car and something that is hopefully going to help you guys make more informative decisions on getting yourself into a EV. That's basically the plan, and that is going to be a lot of fun. So let's get out there, let's make that video, and then I'll see you guys back here at the end of the video and I'll give you guys my final impressions, my final thoughts on this car. I hope you guys will enjoy the video, and if you do, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and that way I can go out there and do some more videos for you guys. Thank you. See you shortly. Today I got a little bit of a treat. Well, it's this thing right over here. It's a BMW i3. What am I gonna do? I'm basically gonna talk to you guys about the i3 today. In the future we will be talking about other vehicles as well, so make sure you guys subscribe to the channel just to get that information. I'm gonna get the intro started and then we're gonna go into, well, explanations a little bit about, well, the i3. The BMW i3, it is one of those cars that basically BMW came out designing specifically for the city, and as a city vehicle it is incredible. With regards to mileage, it's got an amazing range. When you're talking about range for just a little city car, you can't go wrong. It works, it does what it's supposed to do. Now I am talking strictly about the EV version of this car over here. It does not have the so-called range extender. The range extender basically is an engine that powers the batteries. That's really what it is. That's its whole purpose. However, at 200 kilometers plus, you have a wonderful range when it comes to just driving around the city. Most people are very much obsessed with range, and other people, they just don't want anything big, they don't want anything crazy. And so if you're obsessed with range, then obviously you have a ton of range anxiety, which, well, it's not going to help you in any way, shape, or form. That's not what you want to do. You want to have a vehicle that kind of works for your needs. How much do you drive per day? You're driving 50 kilometers a day? Well, then this car is perfect. If you're driving 250 kilometers a day, well, it might be a little bit tight. You're driving 600 kilometers a day, well, then you are one beast of a person, but this is definitely not good for you. If you are in a city, this is the perfect design. It's nice and narrow, so nice and narrow. It's not wide. It doesn't need to be wide, but it does have the height. I'm going to show you guys a little bit down later on in the video a lot of the cool stuff that's inside. Having a vehicle where it's easy to get in and out of, it makes a world of difference. And this one, you can really get in and out of really easily. So as you guys can tell, when the door is open, it's really beautiful as far as how it looks. It's very spacious, very, very easy to get into. Getting in and out of a car is obviously a big thing. And when all of us want to do it, it gets annoying for some cars. This car, you step in and you're in the car. It has a beautifully wide open area where you can just get into it, and it does the job. You have tons of room in the car as just the way you feel in the car, and that's obviously something that's great. You want to see something? Ta-da! Yeah, there's that. Basically, it's a suicide door, but I'm gonna get in here too, just to show you guys. Remember, I got a little bit of a tummy. Don't call me fat. Oh, wait, I got it. There you go. Wow, this is a lot of room in this car. Actually, I have like that much space above my head, but I also have a lot of leg room, and this one over here is set up so it works for me specifically as a driver. So yeah, there's a lot of room. I like it. I like this option with the door. It's really interesting. When it comes to cars, we all have certain things that we like and dislike. Now, as for the car itself, it looks really interesting when the doors are open. It looks wonky almost, but it's not. It just makes sense. There's a reason for it. And no matter how you look at it, just having a nice, easy entrance, having a crazy wide open cabin feel, it just makes sense. Just look at this. Lots of room in the back. Cup holders, obviously, you cannot go wrong with cup holders. But again, it's just one of those cars that makes sense. However, you can't roll down this window. So this window is stable. That's just the way it is. And obviously the front windows you can roll down. As for storage, well, you do have quite a bit of storage. With the trunk open, you get that. It's not a crazy amount of storage room, but it's enough to, well, it's a city vehicle. It's supposed to be enough just to do what you need. However, the back seats do fold down in this vehicle, and on the passenger side, you get the same idea. You basically can open up this door. Now you can look almost perfectly through the car. It's a very unique feature. That's how much room you have if you put your seats down. It's a ton of room. Look at that. It's great. It does, again, everything you need it to do. So once again, a city vehicle that just does what it's supposed to do. Now, as for the rest of the stats, like battery, this is not the biggest battery in the world, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But before we get to the whole battery thing, there is a frunk. Now, if you guys don't know what a frunk is, but you know about Teslas, then be ashamed of yourself. A frunk is that little spot over there. It's where you get to actually put some more stuff. In this case, not so much. It's just a cute, tiny little thing. You get your chargers, you get all the little fun stuff, but not a lot of space. But then again, it's enough. You don't need too much more than that. Truth be told, when it's all said and done, the BMW i3 is a great vehicle for your city driving. Now, we're going to get into the price. We're going to get into all the stats in a couple of minutes, but let me talk to you about driving. All right, so let's talk a little bit about this car now that we're inside the car. First things first, the battery. As I said earlier, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about it. And it's a 42.2 kilowatt hour battery. The importance with that is it's not an oversized battery. It takes a lot less to charge when you have a smaller battery. In this case, because you only have 200 kilometers of range, you might want to charge, when you're here and there, but because of the size of the battery, you're actually going to be able to charge a lot faster. Now, with regards to the display, it's a 10.5 inch display, more than enough. And with regards to seating, you only have 4 seats. You don't have that, 3 seats in the back, 2 seats in the front. Again, plenty. You have to remember that this ultimately is a city vehicle. How is it to drive? Well, a ton of fun. But before we actually go for a drive, I gotta show you guys how this all works. So I'm gonna put the car in park and turn off the whole thing and give you guys a really good idea of what everything looks like and how everything is. From the driver's perspective, this is basically what you get. It's, well, a tiny little display, which is great, and then of course the 10.5 inch display. But it's a very unique car in the sense of the shifter and the way you start up the car. First things first, it all has to do with this guy right here. So over here you have a start, which basically brings everything to life. That's normal. Obviously no engine sound because, well, it's EV. The second thing is it's this handle right here. And this handle is basically where you push it forward in order to, well, drive. And you pull it all the way back in order to go into reverse. But if you're going to drive, you can move forward. Now up here, the little button is for parking. You push that, you're in park. Let's put it in drive. As far as driving, it's actually a lot of fun. It's quiet, which is what you would expect from a EV. That's what you really want. The second thing is the turning ratio on this car is pretty darn good. And again, because it's a city vehicle, it's pretty neat. I like the simplicity of it. But the way you drive this car, the steering wheel is a little bit tiny, I feel, but it kind of fits in with the way the rest of the car is. And that's kind of the point, I think. Driving this car it's just a fun little car to drive around the city. It really is. I don't think you need too much bigger than this. I think it's just right for your average person. The next thing too is, how is it really to drive it? It's a lot of fun. It really is. You have a nice big open space. You feel like you're in a much bigger car than you are. And ultimately, that's really what it comes down to. Do you have the space? Do you have the usability? The answer is yes. Do you have the acceleration? It's not a quick car, but it's not meant to be a quick car. It's meant to be a car. It's meant to be driven from point A to point B. And that's what this car does. It really does it really well. I would also like to point out that for many people, when they're talking about wanting a electric vehicle, this is what I would consider the perfect city electric vehicle. As far as range goes, it's a lot of it's really unique. It's not just something that I guess fits in with the rest of the cars. And this is because BMW, they did a pretty darn good job at designing this car. The interior, they claim to be, very much on the reusable side, so it's recyclable. Uh, all the little things that BMW has done, it just makes sense with this car. Ultimately, if you want a car that's just for the city, this is one that I would recommend. About the price, now this is around $60,000 Canadian, and so it's a bit much. However, there are incentives in play, right? Currently, I believe there's about an $8,000 incentive on EV vehicles. In fact, BMW has lowered the price on this, on the i3, specifically so they can get into the requirements for them to be able to go for that rebate, which is pretty neat. For me personally, I have a big soft spot for smaller cars. I didn't used to. I like big cars, hence why I drive my car. But I have a soft spot for smaller cars. They're fun to drive, and with cars like this one, you're really high off the ground. You don't feel like you're scraping the ground with your bottom. You're really high off the ground. You have that ground clearance, and you're high enough. You almost feel like you're an SUV, but yet you're not. The way that everything looks, the way that everything feels so open. And because it feels so open, it's bumpy right now. Because it feels so open, you actually really do feel like you're in a much, much, much bigger vehicle. Okay, so this was my personal impression of, well, what it is that the BMW i3 feels like. And honestly, I like it. Now, one thing I don't like about the BMW i3 has to be the rear view camera. It is really, really annoying. I don't know why specifically they did it this way, but I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So as you guys can see, the backup camera, it just looks really, really off. And I think it would take some people a lot to get used to how it looks. Frankly, I've driven a lot of cars. The i3 backup camera it would take some getting used to. But once you get used to it, I think there won't be any problems whatsoever. There we go. We're done. As always, I think everybody has to make up their own mind on what they want to do. And something I want to bring to you guys on this channel is just the ability to kind of give you another option. Something that is not a Tesla. I know that many of you don't necessarily want a Tesla. I know some of you guys cannot afford a Tesla. But you're asking me about what's the best thing for the city. This is an incredible little car for the city. And I do recommend it. Even with the price range, I think I would definitely consider this car if Tesla wasn't necessarily an option for me. So if you guys are interested in checking out the i3, and I highly recommend it, if for nothing else, just so you guys can give it a test drive, just so you get a sense of what's out there and what's on the market today. Come down to Park Shore Motors in North Shore Auto Mall. I highly recommend you guys talk to Bobby. He's been very, very helpful to us. Without him, we obviously wouldn't be able to do this impressions video, because frankly, we need a car to be able to do this. I would love to know if there's any other cars you guys would like me to talk about. I do have a few places that I have already contacted, and we will be doing another video. Remember, this specific playlist is created just for EVs that are, well, other than Teslas. Okay, well, there you go. That was the BMW i3, and it was amazing to film with that car, mainly because it kind of went beyond my expectations. One of the big things that I really found interesting about it was it's the way that the car is. It just feels so roomy, and that is something that most people are, well, I don't think expected. I had a chance to talk to a few people who happen to own the BMW i3, and it's amazing to me that there is really a very interesting, I guess, viewpoint of what some of these people think about the car. Most people look at these cars as the perfect city vehicle, and I think it kind of fits in with BMW's point on what they try to do with this car. Ultimately, I think the greatest part about this car is its best, I guess you want to say, assets has to be the fact that it's compact enough, but yet it feels very, very roomy. You know, for most of us out here who drive Teslas, we kind of just get used to the Tesla feel and how it is. And we talk so much about Teslas. They're great cars, but when it comes to a city vehicle, this one's actually unique. Ultimately, for most people who would like to get themselves into a EV and they're not really sure what to go with, you know what? BMW i3 is not a bad place to start. It doesn't have the crazy acceleration, but it doesn't need it. It doesn't have the crazy size, but it doesn't need it. And with those doors, I mean, once you open up those little suicide doors, they're really it's simply amazing to just see right through the car. For all of you who are looking to get, dip your toes into EVs, this is not a bad option. Now, the price tag obviously is quite high, but ultimately you have to remember this is a BMW. And so you're kind of hitting two big things at the same time. You're actually getting yourself a BMW and you're getting yourself an all-electric vehicle. Now, yes, there is such a thing as the range extender, and I personally don't want to go down that path. I didn't really want to get too far into it during the video. And mainly it has to do with the fact that I'd like to cover as many EVs as possible on this channel. Ultimately, I really gotta say the car surprised me. It was a fun little car to drive. It wasn't crazy. It's really simple. I love that little knobby thing that, how you choose your basically your gears. It was just great. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. My final impressions really are, it's a great car. Now, with everything said, the price tag is high, but when it's all said and done, it's really kind of worth the price, and to a certain degree. Now, if you option the vehicle out, obviously, it's going to get up there, but you can't just start out with the basic version of it, and at the very least, you still have a BMW, and you still have an amazing, cute little design, and it's just a fun car to drive. That's pretty much what I have for you guys. I hope you guys will look forward to the next video. I'm going to be doing this once in a while, these kind of videos. And so I hope you guys look forward to the next video. And I already have somebody lined up for the next car. So you guys will have to subscribe to, see what that car is. Thank you very much for your support. And until next time, drive safe, everyone. Stay safe.